What's up, everybody? Mark Cannon here with my home group real estate, owner of the Benchmark Real Estate team. And if you're one of my clients, I appreciate you watching. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope to see you soon. If you're one of my neighbors or someone else that isn't a client yet, hope to talk to you soon. But I'm here to give you information on what's changing in real estate, because there are things that are going on right now that people need to be aware of. And it's going to affect sellers. It's going to affect buyers. So a lot of people need to understand these changes. I will have links and more information in the description below if you want to check that out. That's at least here on YouTube, maybe even on Spotify. If you're on Apple Podcasts, go look for it on Spotify or YouTube. So I appreciate you guys listening to Real Talk Real Estate. So as you know, this is kind of a podcast, so I'm going to talk through this stuff. And I'll try to put some things on the screen so that way you guys can see what exactly I'm talking about. And again, I will reference a lot of things in the description if you want to go check out other resources. So what is changing in real estate? That is a great question because a lot of people aren't aware. There's been a lawsuit that's been around since I think about 2017 in Missouri. And it started out where no one had heard of it, and then we started hearing things about it the last 1 or 2 years. And as a real estate professional, I was one of those that I started keeping track of it because there was going to be changes coming. There was a settlement that was preliminarily reached earlier this year. I believe it was in like April. And so April or May, they preliminarily reached an agreement, and that should go into effect fully in November, but they're already starting to make changes in Arizona here come August 1st. Technically, it was supposed to be August 17th, but they're all doing it August 1st. So there are changes coming. So let's talk through a little bit of the details of the settlement, and then we'll actually go into what's changing for you. If you want to watch some other videos where I give some opinion on what some of this stuff is, I'll put some of the description. Go check out those videos because I do talk about, from a real estate perspective, listen, I run on honesty and transparency. That's how my clients appreciate me, and I appreciate them, and I want people like that. So it's one of those that I want to be honest and transparent and open up. The media is going to say one thing because they want to. So the first thing, one of the allegations, again, not anything that was proven. It was just an allegation, because the thing we need to remember up front, when it comes to lawsuits, you can sue on anything. You can sue over anything. And these lawyers who sued in Missouri had been trying this lawsuit or this type of lawsuit for decades. They've been trying for years and years and years to try and get this to stick, and they finally got it to stick. So it's one of those, the allegations, one of the allegations was the standard commission of 6%. That has to go. There shouldn't be a standard commission. Here's the reality. There has never been a standard commission in real estate. Now, that may be a surprise to you. Maybe it's not. Commissions have always been negotiable, whether it's for the seller's agent or the buyer's agent. Commissions have always been negotiable. There is no set standard. My broker doesn't talk to me about that stuff. That's not something that they do. Now, are there people that may say that there's a standard stuff? Sure, and there might be some bad apples like there is in any workforce, right? So realtors, we're going to have our bad apples that may have said things that they shouldn't have. And ultimately what the lawsuit, and again, I'll give you a little opinion. In my opinion, what came from was real estate agents not explaining things the way they should have. And we need to do a better job of that. And that's what's coming out of this lawsuit, is we're going to have to explain things more, which I think is good. So it's one of those that the main allegations was there were set standard commissions. You were making people pay a buyer's agent. You were making people pay X amount of percentages. And that wasn't true. So, because again, commissions have always been negotiable. But listen, are there people who are worth the money? Yeah, there are. Because if it's a professional agent that knows what they're doing, it is. The one thing I will say out of this is there will be more lawsuits between clients and realtors, because what's going to happen is you're going to have people come out with these cheap models, and then things are going to go wrong and they're going to get sued over it. So there's going to be lots of things like that. But what is changing for you? So there are a couple of changes that are happening in the industry, and then I'll talk about how it affects sellers and how it affects buyers. So a couple of things that are changing is especially for an agent, and a lot of it changes is for agents. So one of the things they are changing now is, as a real estate agent, before, if you wanted to go see a property, let's go see a property. No big deal. Because it was implied agency, and we were able to just go. Because as a real estate agent, we have a fiduciary duty to our client. But now the issue is now if I want to show you a house, if you're a buyer, I want to show you a house, we have to have something signed called a buyer-broker agreement signed before I ever show you a house. And you go, wait, really? Yeah. And what the buyer-broker agreement goes into, and I will actually be doing a video here soon, actually walking through the new buyer-broker and what it means, what the changes are, and what that means for you. So you can check that out in the weeks to come. But it's one of those that what the buyer broker says is if the seller is not willing to pay a buyer's agent, here is the buyer's agent's fee. If the seller's agent isn't willing to pay that, now the buyer has to pay it. Now, people freak out over that, and I understand. I do understand that. Thankfully, the VA has changed some of their rules where a veteran is now allowed to pay their buyer's agent if they so desire. And I'll get into some of that here in a second. The other major change that's happening outside of, we have the buyer broker that we now have to sign before we ever show a house. And they're taking that very seriously for us as agents. They're talking about fines and even suspensions if we don't do that. So then the other big change is that right now, currently in the MLS, we can see what a seller is offering as far as compensation to a buyer's agent. That is going away as of August 1st. Both these major changes go into effect August 1st. So we have to have buyer broker agreement. Now, I've been using a buyer broker since last year, and I sit down and I explain everything to my clients because they need to understand. What's now going away is in the MLS, we will no longer be able to see the commissions. Now, why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because now as an agent, I now have to call every listing agent. Are you offering buyer compensation? Yes or no? Okay. And then you have to negotiate that. So it's one of those that is adding extra steps. And unfortunately, it could hurt people. Now, where this is going to play into is how the market affects all of this. There are a lot of people freaking out. Oh, no, I'm going to have to pay my buyer's agent. And maybe you do. Every state's going to be different on some things. But for the most part, they're changing these things already. These two things are going into effect in all 50 states. But some states have already been doing some of this, so it's not going to be a big change for them. But in this situation, now you're going to have to negotiate even more. And let's say an agent's commission is X and the seller is not willing to pay that full amount, you may have to cover the difference. So the market's going to determine a lot of stuff. So when you have a buyer's market, sellers are probably going to have to pay more. Because if they want people to come in, they're now competing against all these other homes in a buyer's market where there's more inventory than there is demand. So with that, the market's going to determine how a lot of this happens. So when the market's hot, you might not see sellers paying a whole lot of commission, if any. When it's not hot, you might see them paying more. So you're going to see it swing. So like right now, we're in a pretty balanced market, and some markets are going into buyer's markets here in Phoenix. So you're seeing that where they're starting to debate, okay, how much do I have to pay to be able to get someone? Because now you're competing against other listings. So when you're listing a home, you don't want to be at a competitive disadvantage and not offering commission. I've already seen it. There have been homes that aren't offering commission, and I saw them sit for a month. I talked to the agent. Yeah, we haven't had any showings. Yeah, because in this market, if people are looking at that, I mean, affordability is really low. So it's one of those, if people can barely afford to buy, I can't talk, I'm sorry. If people can barely afford to buy homes now, how can they afford to pay a buyer's agent? So that's where the market's going to determine a lot of that. So how's this going to affect buyers? Buyers are going to have to sign a buyer broker before ever seeing a house. And it's one of those that you're going to have to commit to an agent. And that's a negotiation with you and the agent. You know, and that's where before you go see homes, you're going to have those conversations. On the seller side, are you going to pay a buyer's agent? That's something you're going to have to talk to about with your listing agent. And that's where you're going to have those discussions up front, and you're going to have to know where the market data is telling you. I know people always want to save money. I get it. And that's the job of a realtor, is to help you save money. But we have to be realistic in what's going on. So those are some of the major changes that are happening in a nutshell. If you want more information, look in the videos in the description below. I actually put a real estate lawyer's videos down there too. She actually walks through it. She has read all of it because she's a lawyer. She knows how to speak it. And she talks about, so go watch some of those videos. They're really helpful, really insightful. She's in North Carolina. The biggest thing that you need to take away from this is who benefits the most from this? Lawyers benefit the most. It's a money grab. Lawyers were doing a money grab, and they got it because, like, even when they settled, the plaintiffs that they were representing are barely getting anything now, and the lawyers are making so much money. It was a money grab from lawyers, and they finally got it. The other people that this helps is institutional buyers, like big companies. It's not an issue for them to pay commission, so they'll buy houses still. So this could hurt people, and that's the sad part, is because it hurts the normal everyday person who's looking to buy or sell. And that breaks my heart because I have a heart for people who want to do that. I don't work with a lot of these. I don't work with institutional investors. So for me, I work with the everyday American. And so for me, I want to be able to help people. So if you have questions about this, you're wondering how this might affect you, or you're wondering maybe if I want to buy or if I want to sell, let's have a conversation. I'm here to be honest with you, transparent, upfront. That's how I run my business. That's why I work by referral, is because I want to do the best job I can for someone that they will refer everyone to me. So if you have questions about it, reach out to me. My information is below. Watch the other videos. I hope it's been helpful. Guys, you've been listening to Real Talk Real Estate. I'll catch you next time.